It's been almost 39 years. My heart still aches. I just would like to find Randy. If it's just the phone, I need to know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Operation Evil, episode 27, 41 Years Unresolved, a thought-provoking case from Northern Kentucky. I'm Nyoka.
And I'm Rachel.
Before we jump into things, let's take a moment to say that if you are new here, hello.
Hello.
Welcome. And we hope that you enjoy the show. If you're interested in connecting with us and our little like-minded true crime community, you can do so on Facebook. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. For those of you who keep coming back for more, we want to say thank you very much. We love you, and please tell your friends about the show. If you can't get enough episodes of Operation Evil, consider supporting the podcast. There are many perks and 3 tiers to choose from. But regardless of what tier you pick, you will have a shout out from us and at least one 30-minute bonus episode per month that is exclusive to our supporters. In fact, Rachel will be putting one up this week for our December bonus episode. And it is about, what is it about?
The Iceman.
Ooh, so you want to hear this.
Yes. You should definitely subscribe just for that.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, by supporting the show, it allows us to give you the best listening experience possible because we take those funds and we put them right back into the show. The Patreon link can be found in our show notes. And I do want to note that since Christmas is actually next week as we're recording right now, we will be taking that week off. I'm sorry to disappoint. But we will be back the following week with another new episode. Well, I hope you are all ready for a story that, it has no ending.
I know I'm ready. I don't know anything about what Nyoka is going to be talking about.
Oh, it's going to leave you wondering so many things because there are so many theories that I'm going to tell you. Many rumors, lots of gossip, all of the things. It's going to leave you scratching your head. It's going to make you feel a little empty inside. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time for that. I'm sorry. But I had to do this. I had to tell this story because we have to keep this story alive. We have to tell it, and we have to hope that we solve this mystery someday. It's another local story from our hometown, and it took place here in Kenton County, Kentucky, 41 years ago.
Oh, ready to crush our brains.
Buckle in. It is going to be quite the ride. This story is about the disappearance of 17-year-old Randy Sellers that took place in Northern Kentucky. Have you ever heard of Randy Sellers?
No.
Neither have I. This was suggested to us actually a while back. And once I really looked into this, I can't believe I had never heard it before. We grew up around here. Well, I grew up around here.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of it. I know it's before I was born, but still. I don't know.
Right. When things happen, you usually, it's in the history.
Yeah. It's a pretty big story.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start it out in the beginning. Randy Sellers was born on September 6, 1962, which would make him 59 years old today. Unfortunately, his story has remained a mystery for all of these decades. It was on August 16th, 1980, just weeks before his 18th birthday, when Randy Sellers would disappear forever.
He grew up in the coolest decade.
He really did.
Mm-hmm.
He did. He was last seen wearing a black shirt, blue jeans, and work shoes. He stood 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighed 149 pounds. Randy has some distinct characteristics. He had brown hair, hazel eyes, multiple scars that included his left elbow, above his left eye and his right knee. He also had a crooked letter R tattooed on his forearm and a birthmark on the crown of his head. I feel like those are worth noting. The story has a lot going on with it. There's many truths, many lies, and rumors, and I'm going to tell you all of it. I am not here, though, to tell you what I think happened to persuade you in a certain way, because I honestly don't feel like anything fits. Plus, I'm not a detective or an expert or anything in this subject. However, it is up to you, the listener, to determine what you think may have happened. I just think we all need to continue to keep Randy Sellers' story alive and work towards finding him. Randy's story begins in Kenton County Fair, at the Kenton County Fair. For those who don't live in Northern Kentucky, every summer for as long as I can remember, there was always a county fair. This was like the thing to do. You would go and you meet up with your friends, you play games, get on rides, just hang out. They would have like different shows, depending on the day or weekend or however. They would have beauty pageants, horse shows, demolition derbies, much more. I'm not sure what they had in the 80s, but I'm assuming it was about the same. And let's face it, there wasn't a whole lot to do back in the 80s because this area was not filled with lots of entertainment or anything. It was pretty remote. That night, Randy attended the Kenton County Fair. And what was supposed to be a good time turned into something else completely. Randy Sellers was intoxicated at the fair, possibly by drugs of some sort. One source that I read said it was not alcohol. I think it was a pill of some sort.
Oh.
And he got into a fist fight. It was at this time that he was picked up by the Kenton County Police and was charged with disorderly conduct and public intoxication.
I wonder, were they already at the fair, the police?
Probably so, because a lot of them will work it.
Yeah.
Just to maintain things like this happening.
Right.
And according to the Kenton County Police, Randy struck one of them after he was put in the squad car. Police dropped Randy off about a mile from his family's home in Morningville. Some articles that I came across claim this is because he was not giving his address to the police or not giving clear directions to where his house was. Some say the police was doing him a favor by dropping him off a little away from his home so he could sober up on his walk there. What we do know for sure is that he was dropped off and it wasn't at his house. Also, he's a minor. This would not happen today.
No way.
And a witness would come forward and state that they saw Randy walking, actually stumbling in the road, and two police vehicles were parked a short distance from him. Regardless, he never made it home and he was never heard from again. His mother reported Randy missing the next day when she discovered
that he wasn't home.
Yeah, that he wasn't home. After he was reported missing, it was thought by the authorities that Randy accidentally fell or walked into the Licking River and possibly drowned. I think that they believe this because they found footprints by the river. However, they ruled it out when it was matched to one of Randy's relatives. And they were there because they were searching for Randy, trying to locate him.
Oh, okay.
But still, the Licking River was searched anyway for months because they felt that there was enough evidence there to do so, to look into it. But they never found anything.
Now, the Licking River, it connects to the Ohio River, doesn't it?
I think so.
I think so, too.
But I'm not positive. I won't say for sure. But I do know that night, from what I read, it was getting high in the flood stage at the time. So, I mean, it's hard to say with anything.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing ever came up, and usually things would eventually come up, and nothing ever did.
And that's a normal thing for this area, too.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we're by the Ohio River, and there's been plenty of times where bodies will wash up after a certain amount of time, but none of this ever happened. Nobody washed up ever. It's been a long time, right? So it would have by now, you would think.
And speaking of flood, we had a huge flood around here in 1997.
That's true. It's a good thing to mention that. It was pretty devastating. So in 1994, a new lead came about when serial killer Donald Leroy Evans drew a map and confessed to the murder of Randy Sellers. The map he drew was to locate Randy's body near Kincaid Lake. Evans also confessed to 60 more murders, but most of these were ruled as false confessions. When investigators took Evans to the said location on the map, he suddenly became uncooperative and would not even exit the police vehicle.
Okay, no question though.
Yes.
Is it possible that the area had changed drastically since he was last there? And maybe that's why he was being difficult or uncooperative?
Well, from one things that I've heard and read, well, I didn't read this, I've heard this from other people telling the story, is he wanted to smoke and get out of the building. And that was a way
to do that. So as soon as he got his way and got out there, shut down. But I can't note a source for this. This is just other people telling the story. That could be a reason. Because I think it was a non-smoking place where he was being held during that time. Wow. What a reason.
Yeah. But again, this is hearsay. I'm not sure. In a Fox 19 article that was published July 29th, 2021, so this year, Detective Brian Jones stated the following, quote, Donald Evans had made the statement that he was driving south on DeCourcy Pike in the area where Randy's family lived and saw him, and he was hitchhiking. So he picked him up, drove him down to Kincaid Lake State Park. They hung out for a little bit, shared some beers, and then he stated that he shot him in the back of the head and buried him in a shallow grave. End quote, Jones said. The unfortunate thing is that he was a notorious liar, and with that being said, there are details that he had where he would have had to have been at that park at some point in his life to be able to give those details. Nothing was ever found at that location, and later on in 1999, Evans ended up being killed by another inmate after being stabbed to death in the shower. Now, I do want to talk more about Donald Leroy Evans, this serial killer that was passing through our area.
Okay. Yeah, because why would he confess other than
and
lying?
And is this the normal victim profile? Is this the normal behavior that he has? Well, I looked into that. Okay, so for your knowledge, and this is, I had to know, because usually serial killers have certain people that they look for, characteristics, whatever. Randy doesn't necessarily fit the victim profile type, but that's, again, for you to decide. I'm just saying. According to Murderpedia, Evans' method of murder was strangulation, and his victim profiles were young girls and women. He was known for sexually assaulting and brutally killing victims at parks and rest areas across 20 states. He was a drifter, a drug addict, a rapist, and white supremacist. He had multiple 10-year-old victims that he would kidnap, rape, and strangle to death.
So the thing is like, you're thinking, well, at least I'm thinking is like, well, maybe if it was in the dark, Randy had kind of longer hair, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
He was older, though. I mean, he was a man. He was tall. He was 5'9", 149 pounds.
How could you,
Again, doesn't really fit. I don't think any of these things really fit, but that's for you to ponder as we go on.
This is already intense.
It really is. I mean, the amount of things that I read was
It was kind of like repeated information over and over and over again. It was like pulling teeth to find anyone to talk to about it. A lot of the people are deceased from this time period. But anyway, I'm getting off subject here. Another thing before we move on from this serial killer guy, I want to touch base on the map that he drew. To me, the map doesn't look like anything special. It kind of looks generic, like any park, or even like a child could have doodled it. Again, that's for you to decide and look at. I just know I have a picture of it, and I will post that on our Facebook page and Instagram page. Authorities, though, they describe this map as crude but accurate of the park, and the park was also near where Randy's mother was visiting a friend that night of Randy's disappearance. So his mom believes that Randy hitched a ride with Evans to the park in hopes of getting to see her.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I looked at the map. Nyoka showed me the map, and it does look like it could be anywhere, like any state.
Yeah, it doesn't really, nothing stands out about it to me.
I think generic is probably the best word to describe it.
Yeah. But I mean, I would have to have that paper in my hand and be at that park and looking at it, like looking down at the map and looking up at the park and being like, okay.
Right.
Just to even figure that out. But anyway, okay. So fast forward 3 decades to when a Kincaid Lake Park ranger reviewed the map and case during a slow winter season. He ended up recruiting the Kentucky K-9 Search and Rescue Team to survey an area of interest in March of 2018. When the K-9s hit on a scent of human decay, the case was reinvestigated. The area where the dogs picked up the scent matched what Evans told police after studying the map. However, the ranger determined after all this time, the map had been upside down.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Based on this new thinking, Kenton County Police Captain Alan Johnson stated, "Any lead we get, it's our obligation to investigate it to its fullest, to bring closure to the family," he said, adding later, "We've stayed in close contact with his parents through the whole process. They've been very appreciative and expressed a great deal of gratitude for the efforts going on." It is comforting to know that they do keep opening this case up and they are following every lead.
Yeah.
Now, a Townsend University associate clinical professor, Dana Coleman, commented that any makeshift grave in Kincaid Lake State Park would have had to been shallow. Anyone who dug further than 2 feet would hit limestone. So there's no way it would be a deep grave. Now, she had a group of criminal justice students and dozens of volunteers that were granted permission to search the area after the nonprofit K-9 group recommended their assistance, the ones that they brought the dogs in and hit on that scent. They apparently worked with this group in the past and recommended her. And they spent the afternoon of June 2nd, 2019, searching the grounds with metal detectors, looking for pieces of evidence such as rusted zippers, metal eyelets, anything that would have matched what he was wearing the night he went missing. And Coleman, the professor, quoted, "Not one of these students are out here to get a college credit. They're getting nothing but experience for this. They're out here because they want to be here. They want to find Randy Sellers. We're not looking for bones. We're not looking for a victim. We're looking for someone's son." Randy's mother, Wanda Cotton, believes that he is somewhere in that park. He would not just leave. She feels in her heart that he was picked up by Donald Evans to get a ride to the park because she was visiting a friend, as we said. She believes that he was going to stop by there, and he just didn't make it home, and he is somewhere there. So they were there with all these volunteers passing around a photo of their son. It was a very emotional time, and it kind of renewed their faith in people still looking for him.
Yeah, there's hope.
There's hope. I'm going to kind of switch gears on you now. And this one's kind of tough to talk about. It is the long-lived rumor about Randy's disappearance, and it involves the Kenton County Police. So we already know that they picked him up, and they dropped him off a mile or so from his home. This was a huge mistake, a lapse of judgment, really. I mean, like I said, this would not happen today. This could not happen today. And I think this is one of the reasons why this theory exists so strongly.
Because it's what else? I don't know.
I don't
There's
know.
so many
I guess
questions.
because things were different then versus now, and now we know this would never happen. They wouldn't just drop a minor off somewhere other than the home, but I'm not here to tell you one way or the other. I'm just saying maybe this is why this rumor has been long-standing.
And the terrible thing, though, is that about, law enforcement, they have learned along their trainings of how to do things, too. I mean, for example, John Walsh, his son, when he went missing, he was told to leave this area because they were being rowdy or whatever. I think it was by security, and he left because security told him so.
Right.
So, and he was young. I don't remember how old he was, but now the same kind of thing. Security would not tell a child to leave, go
No.
outside of a mall by themselves.
Right.
Reporting children the 24 hours, there's a lot that law enforcement has learned about minors.
You are so right. We take these mistakes and fix them.
Right.
To prevent it again. I'm so glad you brought that up, because there was a point in time where people had to be missing for 48 hours or more
Right.
before they would even look at it. And now we know for a fact that the first X amount of hours is the most crucial.
Yeah. And,
Or-
they used to say, oh, they just ran away. They'll be back.
Right.
But, through time and through experiences and things, and the more these serial killers and bad things happening,
Yes.
they learn from that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the police that they did anything either, but
Right.
it's just
But it was
something to think
41
about.
years ago.
Right.
Right.
At the time, maybe they thought, if that is what happened,
Yeah.
maybe they thought, he's 17, he's a man,
Yeah.
he'll
can
be
walk,
okay.
Yeah. He'll walk to his house.
Right.
I mean, who knows? But I'm glad you brought that up, because that's true. We have learned from the past and how to make things better. But the rumor is that the police beat Randy after he struck one of the officers, and the beating got out of hand,
Oh, man.
and accidentally it caused his demise. I actually had a relative of one of the responding officers, which I'm not going to mention any names of any officers, but they reached out to me and they said that they were very young at this time, but they do believe that this could have been a strong possibility because their mother had always thought this.
Oh.
However, nothing was ever confirmed. They didn't really speak about it around the children during that time. So I think this person was just going off of what their mother thought. And then another person I spoke to said there's no way that this same officer would have ever done something like that. No way. Not possible. They've known this person for a long time. No way. So I'm hearing two completely different things. But that's gossip. That's rumors. That's hearsay.
Perceptions of people.
Perceptions. I'm glad people reach out to me to say this. I want to put everything out there and let you decide.
Well, they always say, too, right? The smallest little thing can lead to something huge.
It could.
So maybe somebody hearing this
Yes.
You never know.
And that's why we want to keep telling his story.
Mhm.
And then, so the rumor goes, the police killed him, and then they did something with Randy's body to prevent the truth from coming out. And a place of interest that is rumored to be the burial site of Randy Sellers is some farmland in Morning View, where the former owner was one of the police officers
That was
in
in
that
Kentucky.
department. Now, when this officer passed away, they did search part of the land and nothing was found. Fast forward to the current owner, who keeps hearing rumors like as soon as this person purchased the property, people are coming to them saying, Randy Sellers is on your property.
Wow, could you imagine?
Right. So this new owner keeps hearing rumors, and he took matters into his own hands, and he was like conducting his own digs.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I'm not going to really go into this, but it's really interesting. And later in the episode, I will mention the podcast who did actually cover this a lot more. And if you would like to learn more about it, I will give you the information on where to listen to that here in a little bit. But I thought that was interesting and wanted to put that out there. Now, from the article that Detective Brian Jones was interviewed from in July of 2021 that we were talking about earlier, he also said that, quote, there were some type of physical contact made between Randy and one of the officers that evening. So it is admitted. Okay. I know that there's been efforts on our end to look into that, but mostly anytime we get a lead that involves officers with Kenton County Police from that day, we forward it to the Kentucky State Police for transparency for them to investigate. And to my knowledge, there's been no credible proof that there had been anyone involved in it, end quote. He also went on to say that at this point, not one theory can be ruled out or considered more plausible than another. He also added they were actively pursuing new leads and potential theories. I cannot speak tonight. But I don't know what those new leads or theories are. I haven't seen anything posted since that article.
I mean, there could be some things where they just don't release to the public.
There could, and this was just in July of this year, so I don't know what they got cooking, but hopefully it will be something good and something that will lead us to Randy. Another rumor I'm going to throw out there, because there's pictures that exist where they took Randy Sellers' 17-year-old picture and they aged him.
Oh, like
as
the
he
age
would
progression?
look. Yes. So I wanted to put this out there, and I will also include this picture on our Facebook page and Instagram on when they aged him to be like in his 40s, I think it was. So this rumor is that he's alive and he's well and he ran away and he just never looked back. I don't know, but I just thought I'd throw that one out there for you too. But it seems like he has a lot of distinct characteristics and that tattoo and everything else. I mean, you would think somebody would have saw something. But again, that's for you to decide. Do you see what I mean, though, by nothing really fitting?
It's like, well, no,
as soon
wait
as
a
you
minute.
think, like, this could be it.
Wait, no.
And then it's like, maybe not. Oh, yeah. I know. This drove me
Because it makes me think
crazy.
about him running away is like, it sounded like he might have had a decent relationship with his mother.
But nobody really knows anything. But why would somebody run away 2 weeks before they were turning 18? But then again, that's not for me to even question.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just another theory. Just another rumor. And his mom's convinced that he would not just
Run
up
away.
and leave.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Wanda and John Cotton, losing their son was a horrific time for them, still is. And unfortunately, more tragedy struck their household in 1991,
Oh, no.
almost 10 years after Randy's disappearance, when their son, Tyron, I think is how you pronounce it, committed suicide.
Oh, no.
Yeah, at the time, he was 13 years old when Randy disappeared. And this was so devastating to him, and he just could not overcome it. And he ended up jumping off the bridge into the river where he believed his brother to be. It took 4 months before his body was recovered. Yeah, I know. I got goosebumps because I feel so bad for these parents. They lost 2 sons for the same reason. I mean, they did. It's so sad. It's so sad. That clip before we even began was his mother speaking, in case we didn't put that together, by the way.
I'm totally speechless about that.
I know.
Was it 1991?
Yeah.
So like 11 years after
Yeah.
he went missing.
Mm-hmm. He never got over it. He was devastated. So Wanda and John Cotton have a mission to make sure their son Randy Sellers is never forgotten. As they age, they worry that once they're gone, people will stop looking for them.
I wish we could talk to them right now and tell them that's not going to happen.
I know. And by covering it, this is why it's so important to keep his story alive. I never heard of it until it was suggested to me. I'm glad. Thank you for suggesting that. It drove me crazy researching this because there's no satisfying resolution, but we need to keep this story out there and going.
I know, at least when it's a sad ending, at least there's something that you can accept.
Yeah. And they're getting older. They've had no closure. They're scared people are going to stop looking for their son. But I think that when they opened that case again, especially when they thought maybe the map's upside down and all those volunteers went out and they went looking, I think it kind of like gave them that hope that was much needed, that people aren't forgetting. People will continue to look for Randy.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, they've opened this case, I believe, a few times in the recent years. With every lead that they get, they open it up. Even though it's a cold case, it seems to still be heavily looked into.
And, it's just going to take, I think, one person.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it works. Just
I
one
know.
person with a fresh set of eyes to look at things.
And that's exactly right. That's usually how it goes. Everyone wants Randy back home. After the parents spoke to the media for the first time in July, or no, not July. Was it July? I don't know, but it was in 2019. John stated, quote, "Hopefully one day we can get some resolve if we're still here. If not, I'm going to be with Randy. There's no doubt in my mind," end quote. So if you have any information about Randy Sellers, about his case, even if you think it means nothing, please contact the Kenton County Sheriff's Office. Their phone number is 859-392-1800. There's also a couple pages I want to bring to your attention. I recommend following these 2 Facebook pages. One is called What Happened to Randy Sellers, and the other is called Bring Randy Home. It's a way to communicate with people in the community about what they think or heard. It's a safe space, so go check it out. Last but not least, another true crime podcaster who actually grew up in Northern Kentucky covered this case 4 times on her podcast. Each episode covers something new. It's very interesting. You can go check that out for more information. I will post the link to her podcast in the show notes, and it's called Just the Tip-Sters. The episodes about Randy Sellers will also be listed in the show notes, so you know exactly which ones to go to. But again, if you know anything about this case, or if you were friends with Randy personally, if you know anything at all, reach out to us. I would love to do a follow-up episode on Randy Sellers. I tried to reach out to people as much as I could. I can only get so far. So I'm hoping that maybe after listening to this,
you can feel comfortable coming to me. You can reach us on our social media, like Facebook Messenger, or our email, operationevilpodcast@gmail.com. And that does it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope it pulled at your heartstrings.
It definitely did.
Make you feel all sorts of way. Yeah. Like it did me. But until next week, be aware of, I'm sorry, not even next week. 2 weeks. Until 2 weeks from now, be aware of your surroundings. You never know when you see something that could solve a mystery for someone else or even to keep you from vanishing. All right. Have a Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.